What's going on, guys? Welcome to The Real with Joseph Lamtman. I am Joseph Lamtman. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, June 1st. Can't believe we're already in June already, but here we are. Yeah, man. And believe it or not, I just recorded this episode. I was 49 minutes in, and a storm came through and just knocked our power out. Yeah, I was a little pissed off because I had it all recorded, but oh well, it is what it is. But it's okay. It was still a great show, and we'll get into it today. I want to thank you guys. We're Tomorrow will be 2 months since April 2nd when I did my first show, and so I got 15 episodes out, and um, I really appreciate you guys, all the people who have tuned in, reached out to me in private, who have talked about their own stories of anxiety or just life in general, people I've gotten to reconnect with. It's been great. It's been a blast. And, I'll continue to grow this show to where I want it to be. And, just excited to see where it goes. And, yeah, man, just take it one day at a time. But welcome to episode 15. And the topic today, as you can see on the bottom, self care is not selfish. And you know, by the way, it would just be me and you and I today, guys. Just be you and I talking, and you know, not doing a live today. We will do another live here pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. But today, let's focus on this. It's an important topic because I feel like last episode we talked about getting to the root cause rather than symptoms, and we talked about that in a variety of ways, and how that can go in a multitude of ways. And so, I think a lot of times though, what today's topic is about, what holds people back from focusing on the root cause, getting to the bottom of what's causing their anxiety, and stopping them from healing and growing and where they want to be, is because they're afraid. But also, I think one of the issues people are afraid or stay where they are is because in society, we talked about in the last show, Dennis talked about, Mike Antonace and myself talked about, is how society tells us to suppress everything, suppress your feelings, suppress your emotions, suppress how you feel about what you're going just suppress everything, right? And don't deal with these things. Don't just suck it up and deal with it and carry on with your life. A lot of times you're going to have an authority figure that might say, hey, I did this, and I had anxiety, but this, I just sucked it up and just lived with it my whole life, just coped and just managed, and just got by. Well, to me, getting by is not a fulfilling life. Just trying to get by and just survive each day. To me, I think you know you deserve to live a fulfilling life. You deserve to live the life you truly want to live, right? And so I think, hey, let's face up to these fears. Let's address these things you fear. Let's address these things in your past, these traumatic traumas or things that bother you, that hold you back. You can take care of yourself, and self care is not selfish. I think a lot of people may view it as, say it's selfish to, oh, gee, you're not doing you're not hanging out with us anymore. You're not. I'm just using examples, guys. You're not, you know, doing X, Y, and Z anymore because you want to do this for yourself instead. Oh, that's selfish. Or, um, how dare you address the things in your past and do better for yourself? And a lot of times you're just not being who everybody else wants you to be, and that might piss some people off. But you know what? You got to do what's best for you, because how are you going to be who you really want to be? How are you going to be your true self? How are you ultimately going to help people the way you want to help people if you're not good? If you're not good first, and so I think that's one way. One thing that turns people off. I think another thing is the labeling. A lot of times we view, going to see a therapist or getting help is, uh, crazy. That person's crazy. They got mental illness and blah blah blah. And some people do have real mental problems, but I think for the most part, a lot of people, just want to talk to somebody. They just want to realize what's going on. Why do they think the way they do? They want to better themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like your physical health. You just want to eat right. You want to work out, sleep, drink water, take vitamins. Spiritually, you want to read your Bible. You want to, you know, pray, go to church, talk to a spiritual person that, or somebody you view like a pastor or somebody that helps you grow spiritually. All these things. And so to me, and emotionally goes hand in hand with mentally. You can't control what happens every day. Like today, for instance, I was a little pissed off because I recorded this and the power goes out, or the internet goes out because of the storm. How am I going to respond? Am I going to sit around and be pissed off? I was venting for a little bit, but uh, after the while, the internet came back on. I said, you know what? Let me get back up here and talk about this topic because I want to get this out to you guys. And so, but that's just how I respond. I didn't get too overwhelmed, but I just said, you know what? It is what it is. What are you going to do about it? And that's how life is. We can't control what happens every day. And so, um, you know, I think that's another thing too is just, you know, the labels that people put on with trying to, almost like they make you like you're a crazy person because you want to help yourself mentally. No, you're not mentally ill if you go see a counselor. Okay, you just want to help yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Or if you want to do things to better yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. And so it's just letting go of your past, and you're just doing what's best for you. Because ultimately, yes, you may lose relationships, you may lose a job, you may lose something. Um, but in the end, is it worth it to keep doing that? Because you're going to get the same pain and result in the end. Is it worth it to keep doing the same thing? The definition of sanity is doing the same thing over and over again and trying to expect a different result. But in turn, you get the same result. And a lot of times with anxiety, it's just true with a lot of people with anxiety. You stay in the same cycle, right? And you don't ever get anywhere. And so, um, I think that, but also it starts with your self worth and your self value, right? And so, and that's the video I'm going to share with you guys today. I got another anxiety guy video, fair use for YouTube, although Dennis says it's fine if I use him. Um, him and I are good friends. But, anyways, I consider him a good friend. Like I said, and if you guys aren't subscribed to the anxiety guy, go reach out to him. Like I said, I've gotten to know Dennis the last 3 years. Him and he's helped me out a lot. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Dennis and a lot of other people, but especially Dennis. He really inspired me to do this. Um, Him, along with Kwame Brown, Jason Whitlock, some other guys that really inspired. But Dennis was really what helped me start to believe that I could do anything again. To be honest with you, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. Just kind of a low point as an example with the video we have. I'll be sharing with you guys today. It's a 8-minute, 10-minute video. It's not a long one, and so. But again, go subscribe to Dennis. Follow him on Instagram, Facebook. I think he's on what's it, TikTok now. Obviously subscribe to him on YouTube, and it just that's the best. There's not a better anxiety care page person than Dennis. So the Anxiety Guy podcast, and so uh, without further ado, I got another video today that kind of talked about. Hold on one second. What I was just saying, and I'll show the title real quick: "The Mysterious Reason for Your Lack of Self-Worth and Self-Love." And so, you know, I think this is what caused a lot of people as well. There's not a lack. There's a lack of self worth. You have low self esteem. You don't value yourself. Your value comes from other people. It doesn't start from within, and you don't have a lot of self love for yourself, and a lot of respect. And so, uh, like this could really hold you back. And so, you know, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let Dennis get right to it because, like I said, guys, this is a powerful video. I'll be in the back off camera, giving some commentary at certain parts. I have queued up here, and so yeah, man, I'm just gonna stop rambling and get right to it.
And in today's podcast episode, my friends, we're going to go deep because there's a lot of people out there, you possibly included, that are putting in the effort. They're putting in the conscious effort in order to guide their inner child's subconscious mind to new meanings, new perspectives. And with all this effort, there's something. There's something that you are not aware of that's holding you back. This was me for a very long time. I said, my goodness, why can't I love myself? My goodness, why can't I have a certain degree of self-worth? If your self-worth feels low and your happiness is dependent on other people, then listen up. If you know that love is the answer, and yet self love always seems to defy you, this episode is for you. I want you to understand this. You, possibly, have not associated new meanings to words like love, care, healing, peace, etc. So you keep experiencing the same pain connected to old associations to these words.
Now, guys, I recommend maybe write this down or go back and watch this video. That's a very good point there. That's the first part to this is, you know, understanding your associations. So he said certain words, right? And so he'll definitely get into this more. Is your interpretations of something are the same, and so you experience the same thing over and over again. You're in the same cycle. You get the same pain or suffering or just disappointment, whatever it is. You stay in that same cycle over and over and over again, right? But because your interpretation of X, for example, uh, is the same. So, like for me, for example, um, I had an interpretation of riding in my car a certain distance at one point. Yeah, I could only go so far away from my house. This is when I was 17, 18 years old when I was senior in high school. I couldn't even really leave my house really for a year, but I could only go so far, like a block. But my interpretation, something caused my interpretation to change because I moved. And when I moved, at that time, I went through a really bad panic attack one day right before that in the car. And I was a little further away from home. And I viewed home as my safe place. And I was in the car, I was in the middle of a highway somewhere. I had a really bad panic attack. One of the worst ones I had. The worst one up to that point is probably one of them. I'd probably say the worst because it made me associate being in the car away from home bad, right? See how that did that? And so, uh, but again, you have to realize what experiences, what interpretations keep you in that same cycle. So I just wanted to point that out. That's a good key there, first good start. So let's get back to it.
Let me help you to understand what's going on. Your parents were your gods, your main authorities at the beginning of life. Hence, whatever they did and however they thought became the meaning around love. If they argued a lot, then anger means love to you at a subconscious level. If they watched horror flicks during their relaxing time after work, then you associated horror to peace and calm. Hence, your discomfort whenever you try to relax. Positive words many times don't have positive meanings to anxiety sufferers because they've associated each to some type of pain.
Now again, sorry, I got a little ahead of myself in the last point because I've already watched this, but I get what he's going at. I already know what he's talking about, and so yeah, like I was saying, the interpretations, and so how do you interpret things? How do you interpret certain words? How do you interpret certain actions, meetings, environments, situations? These are all things that sometimes we're unaware of, but these are the things that you know keep you in that cycle. And so, hold on one sec. He's going to make a good point here, and I might rewind it again. So you can listen to it twice.
I remember this being me for a very long time. I would look in the mirror and say, I love myself. I love that this inner child is looking to protect me. I love life. But the truth was, what was the interpretation of love from the perspective of the inner child? That was the question.
I'm going to rewind that so you can hear that again. Very key point.
Truth was, what was the interpretation of love from the perspective of the inner child? That was the question. Well, What love was argument. What love was for me was suffering. What love was hate. Remember, the conscious association that you attach to something means very little right now. It's the subconscious association that you're dealing with. It's the inner child's perspective over, for example, love. So if you're in the mirror saying, I love myself, but your interpretation of love at a subconscious level is suffering and hatred, then that's what you're going to find. This is very, very important because you hear the quotes all the time. It says, you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. Well, yes, but first you have to consciously, repeatedly, and with emotion change your interpretation of love. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But right now, right here, I want you to take in this information. I want you to take in this knowledge. You've been tricking yourself for far too long. I know what you want. I know what you want to believe in. I know the direction you want to go in your life. I know these things. But there are blocks coming from the inner child. There are reasons for those blocks. The inner child is afraid of change.
Now, this is very important coming up, guys, because this is what holds a lot of people back, right? Afraid of change. You're okay. Why are you afraid of change? And he's going to get into this, but I want to stop for a second and make this point is, this was me for a while. I like to give my own experience, guys, so it helps you relate better. That's what helped me. But also, like in that period when I was 17, 18 years old, I couldn't go, I couldn't leave my house at all, really. I wasn't talking to many people, barely anybody. The only people I was talking to really was just people in my inner circle, my immediate family. And so, uh, I was very isolated at that time. And I got to a pretty down place. And I always wondered, could I ever get out of this again? Will I ever get out of this place? Right. And so, but what was holding me back? Because I got to a point where I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I deserve better, but I'm afraid to move on. Why am I afraid to move on? Well, I was afraid to move on because I was afraid of the unknown. That was mine. My reason is I was afraid of the unknown because I was so comfortable in what I was doing. I was so sheltered and so just, like I said, comfortable. I was just afraid because I think I was afraid of the unknown, but I was just coming out of, a bad experience that happened to me when I was a freshman in high school, and just that whole year just really drained me. And it took me some time, but then I just moved. And so when I had moved, on top of that happened 2 years before, and then I just had that panic attack in the car, you know, because before that, let me backtrack. So I had an experience when I was a freshman in high school. I was That happened in the fall when I got out of high school, of 2015. Up until that next spring of 2016, I was really into the next summer, actually, to about June or July of 2016. I was kind of just on and off a lot. I was one period I wouldn't leave the house at all, my old house, and I got really down. And then I kind of slowly started to get back. I was going to a counselor, and I started to do somewhat better. And then in the summer, I just kind of took off a little bit. I just had one day where I went to the store, I pushed myself, and I just kept, I don't know, it just took off for me. I went and hung out with one of my best friends in life, Zach. Shout out to you if you're watching this. I remember him and I were hanging out that summer again, and I just started to take off again. And I started to get back to myself. But what I wasn't doing was addressing my root cause. I was just suppressing more, and I was just kind of getting by. I was still afraid of some things deep down inside. And, it happened in turn down the road about a year after that that's when I was in that incident in the car one day, a little way from home. And I had that bad panic attack and I was getting ready to move. My dog that I had my whole life had just passed. I just had a lot that happened I wasn't prepared for because I still never truly addressed the things because I was afraid of letting go of those things because of the real unknown of really, okay, what's it like to not think about be a hypochondriac every day? What's it like to um, not worry about all the things I was worrying about, letting go of my past, right? Letting go of the experience that just happened to me. And I'm gonna get into that a little bit too. Why that was hard for me to let go of the experience because, uh, it made me go down into a deeper hole. Because then when I moved, I got really dark, like not like dark, but you know what I mean. I just got down in like a very isolated hole, and it just it was harder to get out of that than it was the first time around. And so, um, but I was afraid of the unknown because I was afraid of what would life look like without worrying, almost without this identity. And I'm gonna get into this a little bit after the video, but I just wanted to stop and make that point to help relate to you guys so you understand what he's talking about.
Afraid of the unfamiliar, afraid to become someone else because you tried that before and you were let down. You were overwhelmed. You were running. You were fighting. You were freezing. So, this inner child has every reason to pull you back into a world that's familiar called fear. It has every reason to do so. But let me ask you a question. Are you beginning to work with this inner child more closely? Are you finding that your relationship with the subconscious mind and body is changing? Can you be compassionate toward yourself when you experience anxiety symptoms because they are seeped within protection? Can you be understanding when intrusive thoughts arise, knowing that you don't have to go down that rabbit hole anymore? Do you have this level of awareness as you go through your day? Let's get into what you need to do in order to start changing your associations at a deep, deep level. You need to become more absorbed and bring in more feeling behind your change work because it's the emotional connection that changes the meaning of a word and experience. So, the great
Now, again, that's a very key point there. So when we do change work, guys, you have to have feeling associated with it. You're going out of your comfort zone, right? So for me, let's go back to where I said I was at that time period. I could go really a block away from my house. Just to go to the gas station right around the corner from my house was a big deal, right? And so to go in there was a big deal. Um, and so, but the more I did that, I don't view things, guys, as a small thing. And I think what happened for me for a while is I was allowing the world standards, which are pretty shitty, to just be completely honest. Um, that the society tells us that everything has to be big and extravagant. Everything has to be. Sometimes you feel like you do things and it's not good enough, and that's where I kept falling into the trap of. I feel like I was kind of embarrassed for myself almost because I was going the big. What was big for me was just going around the corner to this gas station just to get a drink and leave, just to challenge myself, right? So I could. That's as far as I can go. But once I got to the point where I said, you know what, I don't care what people think. I don't. This is who I am. This is where I am. God has me here for a reason. And I just had to say, you know what, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna figure this out. And I just started to embrace the process. I started to enjoy the process because I said, you know what? I started to look at it from a different point of view. Hey, doing what I'm doing now is kind of a simpler life than if I was kind of running around in the rat race like I was before all this happened to me. I was doing way too much before all, like lead up to when I left school for good. Uh, when I was 2015, when I was going 16 years old. Before that, guys, I was just not just that year, but years before. I was doing a lot nonstop all year round, just doing way too much, and I think it was burning myself out. Even, I just myself, my parents, we were just kind of unaware of it. We didn't know. We just thought this is what you do, and so, and nobody knows what to do when you face that anxiety. And and I'm gonna get into that here in a little bit, but uh, just small things, guys. Going to the store, like for me, around the block. Then eventually, I start going to another store, which was like walking distance, and I challenge myself. And then I start going on the bike further, 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and then over time, those small victories, I celebrated them. I started to feel good about myself. Then I started to want more, and I created momentum, right? And it led me to where uh, now I can just bike freely around my town. So for the most part, and I still have my days, my moments, but I know how to respond to that now. It doesn't affect me anymore because I know what it is now. But I understand going back to my root causes of why. But I also, you know, didn't allow the labels of the world, I didn't allow the pressure of the world to tell me what's good or not good, what's you know, what's a small win or what's a big win. A win is a win, right? Even if you could consider it a small win, celebrate it. Those small wins add up, and so just having that self care for myself and just allowing myself to just be, not beating myself up, not doing what everybody else did before me. I talk about generational anxiety, and I guess I'll get into it now. What I was talking about was, our first line of defense guys in this country when it comes to a lot of times with anxiety. I think a lot of times the first line of defense when somebody's or the first treatment option when somebody's going through anxiety disorder is, I think, it could be better in this country. I'm not criticizing anybody or beating anybody up. I think a lot of doctors and book therapists, I think they mean well. There's a time and place for that. I think a lot of them just know what they know, but we don't have many people like Dennis. We don't have many people. Um, it's even like myself. I'm not really. I don't say I'm like qualified, but I've been there. I've experienced that, and I probably can relate to a lot of people that are at a pretty heightened level of anxiety and panic. Dennis certainly can. We need more response like that, and take people down another way of, hey, this is how you get to the root of things. This is how you really overcome things, right? And so, but also realizing, guys, when you're going out of your comfort zone, when you're going out pushing yourself, uh, have patience, have trust. It takes time. And so, I'm gonna finish out this video here.
Greater the connection to your affirmations, your meditations, your reframing practices, your responding skill sets in the moment, the faster the inner child will be convinced of a new association to these words. It's all about feeling and it's all about absorption. Many times we get stuck in our heads because that's a defense mechanism. Boy, this inner child really, really wants to keep us in a familiar place. Stay in your head. Don't go to your heart. Don't do anything intuitively. Make sure you overthink everything because within overthinking there is protection. There is standing guard. There is preparing for the worst.
Now, realize this, guys. This will help you a long way in your just everyday life. Even if you have heightened anxiety or not, your subconscious mind will always choose safety over happiness. It wants you to be happy, but it's going to choose safety first because safety, it thinks, maintains your survival. But a lot of times, the quickest way to be truly happy and what's truly safe and free is following what makes you happy. But understand, your mind's always going to choose safety for your unconscious mind, excuse me. Your subconscious mind, your inner child's always going to revert back to what it thinks is safe because what it thinks is safe has kept you to its perception alive. It's kept your survival up to this point, right? And so it's going to attach on to what's helped you up to this point. So remember that. That's a very big key there. I'm going to finish out this video.
Once we understand this language, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole again. We can work with the subconscious. We are afraid to feel something new because the formula the inner child uses is familiarity equals safety, not unfamiliarity equals safety. Hence, we find ourselves running the same behaviors and the same programs when we are not conscious of what's taking place. So remember, in order to love yourself, in order to find inner peace, in order to be comfortable In a world where you let go and can be carefree, you have to change the meaning of these words, because at a subconscious level right now, the meaning is connected to something negative because of what you saw, because of who you merged with, because of what you experienced at those very delicate years, those years where the door was open, the door to your brain, the door to your body, and you let everything in. Now your reality is still connected to that programming, but it's got to change. So remember, when you do your work, make sure that you are absorbed and bring in more feeling behind your change work. This is the key. Put your heart into your change work, and you change the meaning of these words. Hence, you become someone different. This is the message today. Did I mention that I love you all from the bottom of my heart? Remember that you are more than anxiety.
Man, Dennis never fails. It's let me get back on camera here. Shout out to Dennis. Like I said, go follow him on every platform, especially his YouTube. Follow his podcast, and you're looking for a plan out there to help you. Go to I tried to highlight it when I'm during the video. Go to theanxietyguide.com. He's got a bunch of plans over there. Find the right one for you and start today. And that's really the key, guys. Where I want to pick up off is, you know, have some self worth. Like the topic today is self care is not selfish, and start just start doing what you want to do today. Don't wait. And I've said that a lot on this show. And we're 2 months in now, 15 episodes in. That's kind of been the highlight of the show is just don't wait, just go. Even if it starts small. And like I was saying, if it feels like it's small, it's not. Everybody starts somewhere. And I mean, look at the Boston Celtics right now. They're in the NBA Finals. I think have a legit shot to win the championship. But you go back in January, they were a down and out team, barely making the playoffs, and they just started to slowly build momentum, and they just started to have a belief in themselves, more momentum, small wins, created bigger wins, and now look at them. They're in the NBA Finals, and uh, 6 months later, and they were almost to the All Star break. In January, you're not that far from the All Star break, and you're playing that bad. The odds of you turning around is very slim. They did, and so, but that's an example. And for me in my life, I back to that time in 2017-18, I said, okay, I'm gonna ride to. I had a bike. So what do I have? I have a bike. Okay, bike's exercise. I can get back in shape, or slowly help me get there, but also just help me get out of the house. So, but the bike was good because it helped me feel like I had control. I can go at my own speed. I can go on the sidewalk. I don't have to feel like I'm rushed. I'm in control of the bike. It's nice, and I'm outside, fresh air. It's just it was nice. It was different. Something I'd never done up to that point, to that much. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna go 2 blocks away to my house to this street, and I did it. And I did it multiple times. And I would always say, guys, in Dennis, I learned this in Dennis's program is, um, you know, do something 3 times. Like for me, it was okay. I'm gonna ride to this street, and I did it multiple times. Now the first, it's not like it was easy every time, especially the first time. It wasn't easy at all. Hell, I probably called my mom and dad, panicking like, "Oh man, I can't breathe," and I'm freaking out. And hey, you're all right, And I was always fine. I always made it home, and every time I made it home, I said, "Man, it wasn't what I thought it was." And then I'd always get the itch to go back out again and again and again. And the reason why I kept doing that is because I wanted to get to a point where it didn't bother me anymore. Going to that street, yes, I have intrusive thoughts. Yes, I have some anxiety that wants to spur on, but I didn't entertain it. I didn't let it affect me. I didn't let it slow me down. And it got to the point where I go into the street, that street 2 blocks away from my house was easy. It was nothing. And then I said, okay, let's go 3, let's go 4, and then let's go 5. And so then it got to the point where I said, let's start going out further. Let's start going out to the parks. Let's start going around town. And it just took off. And it took time, though. Those were some of the bigger goals, the bigger rides, I guess you could call it. And so, but it takes time. And that's what I'm trying to say to you guys is you know, you can let go, but just realize it's going to take time. Some people it's a quicker process for some people it's a longer process. There's no timetable. It's different for everybody. And so, but know that when you do something to change work, like you said, there has to be feeling associated with it. There has to be, you have to change that interpretation. It's like a kid on a roller coaster. He doesn't want to get on the big one yet. So you get him on the smaller one. And he goes up to the top of the hill on the smaller coaster. He goes down, does that a couple times. Okay, let's go to the next one, the medium sized one. Does that a bunch of times. Now he's ready for the big one. He goes that, he does that, and now he can ride the roller coasters freely, right? That's just an example. Uh, that's an example. And this with anxiety or anything in life, really, any mental obstacle or just fear you have. And so know that it takes time, it takes patience, but I can't stress it enough. I'm repeating myself for a reason because I'm trying to get a point across to you guys. It takes time, and so realize that be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up, and just allow yourself to be. And whatever's holding you back. I think it took me a while, guys, to about recently to realize. I had a bad experience my freshman year in high school. Just that whole year was bad for me, and it wasn't. It was a multitude of things. I was already going through hypochondria before I went to high school. It was before that, and then when I got to a new environment, a new situation, I talked about this in a couple past episodes. Especially my buddy Mike Matthews was on, because that's where Mike and I met each other, and became pretty close because him and I went through that year together, and we just every day we talked for a long time just about life and just you know that's where Mike just became my guy. And but I was going through a rough time during that period, and or just not say rough, but just very uneasy waters. I just felt very uncomfortable, and there was a lot going on inside, and just had a lot of things put on me, and just I was just going through it. Um, but I was just kind of just weighing it through every day, and just hoping that it would go away, and things would get better. But over time, it didn't, and so by the time when I left all of a sudden abruptly, you know, my confidence went down. And when my confidence went down, I started to dwell on that experience over time. And I started to realize is that, you know, uh, there was things I wanted at that time. I had expectations going into there. There was things that I wanted just as a normal teenager, as a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, and growing older into high school and college. There were things that I wanted, right, that I didn't have. And so I dwelled on that and I thought, will I ever get that again? But I didn't realize is what I didn't feel I wasn't recognizing at the time was, hey, God had a different plan for you. Well, let's say, for example, let's say if I dated at that time as a freshman, would I have been ready to date at that time? Absolutely not. Um, I could have dated. I could have maybe been a little more vocal and pursued some people at my school or off school, people I knew, whatever it was. You know what I mean? And so I'm just using an example. But would I have been ready? No, because I probably would have sabotaged the relationship because I probably became a burden to that person. I had my own problems going on. I just wasn't prepared. I wasn't mature enough. Not in a bad way, like I was a badass kid, but I wasn't mentally I wasn't in the right place, state of mind at that time. And so, like I said, I probably would have sabotaged it. And then I would have probably been let down from that and doubted myself more. But God didn't let it happen for a reason because He was looking out for me. And He knew what was best for me at that time. I didn't see it at the time. And for years, I would look back at something like that or a lot of things and I'd say, man, why didn't this happen? Like, will I ever get that opportunity again? And when I started to realize, especially in the last 3 years, when I started to slowly, okay, so I'm 17, 18 years old, I'm starting to slowly get away from my house more. When I started to do that and I started to just push myself more and I started to, like, in a good way, not like push myself to the extreme, which I did do for a little bit, but when I started to challenge myself more, I guess is a better word, in terms of getting over that fear, challenging that fear, I started to realize is, hey, I'm actually going to be in a better place now because what I've been through, and I'm set up a lot better now for the future, and I'm a lot more freer now. just in every aspect of my life. And so with that, it's kind of like sometimes I have to remind myself, like, hey, I still can have the things I want. Not only can I have the things I want, it's probably better now than it would have been back then. You know what I mean? Because I would be doing this right now. I wouldn't be able to sit up here and talk to you guys about these things if I didn't experience what I experienced. You know, that's about generational anxiety. You know, the buck stopped with me and my family, and I'm proud of that. I'm honored that that stopped with me because I wouldn't want my young cousins, I wouldn't want my sister uh, to go through what I went through. And not that they don't, they go through their normal teenage things now, but they don't go through the level of anxiety I went through. And I'm glad, and I think a lot of that is because I've helped my experience help my mom and dad, um, and a lot of people in my family. They just didn't know. A lot of adults, nobody knows. That's why I was saying earlier, we don't have a lot of good proper knowledge in the society about anxiety. And so my mom and dad just nobody knew around me. Excuse me, nobody around me knew what to do. And so, but through my experience, what I've learned by finding Dennis, that day I talked about in recent episodes, that day I was in the car, I couldn't go to the doctor's appointment 10 minutes from my house, and I said what I was doing was not working, and I said there's got to be something else out there for me. And it's funny, I didn't realize this till recently when I said it was not even about a week later, I think it was, or 2 weeks later. I just something gave me an idea, popped in my head one day to um, go online and just type in anxiety on YouTube. And the reason why I did, because I was already on YouTube watching lawn care stuff because I was doing landscaping, and I still do some periodically now. But at that time, I was doing full landscaping business, my own little business, and uh, I would go on and watch a lot of guys online just to learn different things about that business, and it helped me a lot, different trades. Um, so I said, let's see if I could do the same thing with anxiety. What do I got to lose? The hell with it. And so at that point, I was like, well, yeah, what do I have to lose? And the first person that pops up is the anxiety guy. And I listened to the first episode. Like I said, guys, I was on my bike and I just could not believe I finally found somebody that related to me. And that's key. And that's the next part I want to get to is, find people that have been where you've been because they'll help you a lot. Not only been where you've been, but have gotten through it, right? Like I can help you guys with a lot of things because I've been through it. The anxiety guy, Dennis, he could probably help you a lot better than about any because he's been through it and now he's seen it with other cases with other people. And so there's a lot of experience there. I think experience is the best teacher. But I think surround yourself with people, guys, that really help you grow and help you have been where you've been. And that's really goes with the title today. Self-care is not selfish. You may have to sacrifice some time with some people. You may have to sacrifice, maybe set some boundaries under some relationships and spend more time with other people that help you grow. And that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're helping yourself grow for the better. You may have to, and like I said, with it, sometimes when you start to grow and become who you really are, and you're addressing your past, and you're really just letting go of your fears, and you're just letting be more free. So you may have certain relationships, either someone in your family, friend, spouses, even boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. They may end. You may decide, you know what, this may not work for me. I may need to move on. That where I'm going now doesn't align with that person, and that's okay. That's just part of life. For me, like I said, for me, I had to get to the point where where I was at that time didn't align with the things I wanted that I desired at that time. But now I'm getting to a place where it does. And what happens is I started to trust in God's plan more, and I start to, God will slowly unravel His plan to you. That's where I'm getting to now, recently, especially, is because you got to remember, and I learned this recently, is when you start losing fear of the anxiety and sensations, because you knowledge about that, you experience that, you know what they are, you get over that, you kind of get to a gray area. And a lot of times in that gray area, you can get depressed. It's really easy to. And because you feel kind of like you're finding your new identity, because it's like a rebirth. That's what it is. Old part of you's dying in a good way. Like you don't want to carry that anxiety around with you anymore. But a new part of you is you're kind of like, okay, who am I now? Because I've been this person for so long, this anxious worry wart, now I'm becoming who I want to be, it feels unfamiliar. It feels a little weird. And so a lot of times people get kind of depressed in that gray area. And that happened to me last year because you start to feel kind of isolated sometimes, kind of alone in that. And, that's where I was last year around this time, going in the summer. And then, I was kind of looking to, when I was telling her I was pushing myself too hard, I was, I kind of got in that gray area. I didn't know how to handle it. So my instinct was to just keep pushing myself. And I pushed myself too hard. It's like you overstimulate yourself. It's like coffee or sugar. You drink a lot of it, you crash. And that's what happened to me. I got the end of August, I crashed. And I had to regroup. It kind of like, okay, my patience got tested. That's what happened. But I also was still not as expressive as I am now, even a year ago. And so, but again, it was another part of my journey that I had to get through. And I was getting through that. I still was getting that gray area up until about recently. I was still thinking about it. And, but again, it's patience, guys. It takes time. That's what I've had to learn. Patience. It takes time. The show, I recorded the show earlier today, got cut out. And I was pissed off. My patience got tested. I called my dad. I was like, man, I'm pissed off, man. And he's like, I went to talk to my mom. And they're like, hey, just go re-record it. Might be better. And probably was better. So, again, another example today. It's just like I was talking about my past. Sometimes when we think we want at the moment, there's something better down the road that maybe God needs us to wait for on. And, so before we leave today, guys, I want to leave you this other video. Let me pull it up here. That kind of talks about what I just talked about. That God might have another plan for you. That, having that patience, right? And so, hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. It's another Tony Evans video. Fair use to YouTube. Go subscribe to this page as well. Tony Evans Radio. I'm just going to play this video, guys. It really hits on what I just talked about. And so let's get to it.
A lot of you will never run into your mate because you're not tuned in to God. You're tuned into you, the television, your friends. And you're not tuned into God, who alone knows how to get Adam and Eve hooked up. There's only one time you worry about a mate, and that's when it's time to pray. Whenever you feel yourself being overwhelmed by a desire for the mate, that is a time to pray. If you're not praying, you shouldn't be worried. When you're worried, you ought to be praying. Anytime you're starting to worry about a mate, you get on your knees, say, Lord, I'm starting to worry. I'm going to give this thing over to you. Because the Bible says, be anxious for nothing but in prayer. I had a trip to go on. A lot of people at the airport. Sylvia writes out my plan, my destination, what gate. I go to the airport. The airport has made all the arrangements for the plan, the flight pattern, the pilots, the stewardesses. They have taken care of everything. There's a lot of people at the airport. God has invited every single to the airport because he wants to take you somewhere, and he's got a flight plan for your destination. So I'm at the airport on this one occasion, and I heard, Dr. Tony Evans, will you please pick up the white courtesy phone? So I go to the white courtesy phone. And I don't remember what the issue was, but it was an emergency, and Sylvia was tracking me down. There are thousands of people at this airport. There are people all over. But Sylvia needed me. So she called my name. I got my message at this busy airport. Now I'm going somewhere. I'm at the airport because I'm going somewhere. But a lot of people are headed somewhere. But she needed me. She called the number and they had a service available that knew my name. I went to the white courtesy phone and got my message at the airport with a lot of other people there with my name because she knew me and where I was because I was going somewhere. When you as a single, in the name of Jesus Christ, decide that I'm going to focus on fulfilling my calling, what you're saying to God is, I'm going somewhere. Lord, and where I'm going has to do with height. I want you to lift me up, and I want you to take me and deliver me to where I am going. On your route to your destination, whatever your calling is and wherever God is taking you, if God wants to interject and intervene and change your plans, he knows how to call the airport at which you are located and call you by name to his white courtesy phone because he has a new plan for you. Some of you going to be going this way and God's going to call your number on that day and let you bump into somebody you never thought you'd meet, hadn't seen for years, and all of a sudden you're going to see God hook you up. But it will be because you're at the airport going somewhere. He knows, he sees that another one is going over here, but he knows where the white courtesy phone is. He knows your name, but the only reason to call you is because you going somewhere. If you are going somewhere in your calling, and at the time that God decides to hook you up, he wants to be able to make connection with you because you flying high. You going somewhere. Being prepared for your calling is like going to a pizzeria. Anybody like pizza? You ever been to a pizzeria? I'm talking about a real pizza place where they make them, where you watch them make it. I ain't talking about this prefab stuff. I'm talking about seriously making pizza on the spot. It starts with a ball of dough, right? Then they be rolling that thing and pressing on it and mashing it. Then they start pounding on it. Then after pounding on it for a while, they beat it more, and then they start throwing it up in the air and twirling it. You ever seen that? That dough goes through a whole lot so you can have pizza. But when you go to a pizzeria, you don't ask for dough. You want the good stuff. You want the pepperoni and the sausage. Everybody wants the good stuff, but you can't get the good stuff until you got the dough ready for the good stuff. I know as a single Christian now, you may feel like God is beating you and spitting you and twirling you and flattening you and rolling over you. It may feel like God is just mashing you down, but what he's doing is getting you ready for the good stuff. You show me some dough that rebels against the pizza man, and I'll show you some dough that never gets around to the good stuff. So if you want the good stuff, God has so laid you out that you can receive the good stuff and enjoy it in the process.
Yeah, man. Can't say any better than that. And so, like I've been saying today, patience, trust, and just allow yourself to heal. You know what I mean? Allow yourself to be, because you're never as far away from something as you think. And you know, Tony was using a lot. That sermon there in particular was more about singles, like myself, Christian singles, and so how to be patient. But you can really interpret what he said there, guys. That part I played that for a reason, because you can use that in any aspect of life, you know. And so, just be patient, guys. And like I said, you're never as far away as you think. And so, like example, like I was saying with dating, maybe who knows, the person God has planned for me might be watching this right now. Who knows? You're never as far away as you think. And so, and that's in anything in life. And so, you know, make a plan, believe in yourself, but allow yourself to heal. Don't let the pressures of the world, don't let people's opinions hold you back. If something's telling in your heart that you need to do something, you need to let go and finally be free, because like you said, you could be holding yourself back from God's plan, but also realize it's not going to be easy. You're going to have ups and downs, setbacks. He's just making the dough, like you said. He's making your dough. You're the dough. He's making you ready for the toppings, and so the pizza's complete. And so, yeah, man, that's all I got for today. Shout out to all you guys for watching this. Like I said, we're 2 months in now, 15th episode. I appreciate you guys' support. Love all you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really mean that. It was, you guys that have been reaching out to me and just people I've reconnected with. Love all you guys. And, man, salute. Yeah, can't say it enough. Salute to all you guys, man. You guys have been keeping me going with this. And I appreciate the kind messages, like I said. And, yeah, man. Kind of glad I got cut out earlier because this one was a lot better than the first time I recorded. I can tell you that. And so, yeah, yet again, I was proving that again. But like I said, I'm going through this myself, guys. And so, yeah, I'll be doing another live here soon, guys. I want to do it more maybe on the weekends so everybody can tune in. Yeah, I tried to do it during the week too late because I don't want to stay up that late doing them. Plus, I got other stuff I'm doing. But I'll try it on a weekend, maybe a Sunday. Let you guys let me know what day is good for you guys for do a live so everybody can tune in. Maybe come up on the panel and whatever you want to talk about, or what the topic of the show is. And so yeah, man. And time for tomorrow night too. The NBA Finals. It's gonna be a great series. I think it's gonna be better than people think. I think it goes 6-7 games easy. And so I haven't made a pick yet. It's really easy to pick Golden State. I'll be honest. It's if you pick Golden State, I get it. They're experienced and they've been great for the last 6-7 years, whatever it's been. Part of me wants Boston to win though, and I have family from New England, but I like the Celtics. I like their history. I like the tradition. I like Jason Tatum, Brown. It's kind of cool to see Boston win and get 18 and surpass the Lakers for all-time banners. So it's gonna be a great series. Maybe watch a little hockey tonight. I'm not really a big hockey fan, but I did go to a hockey game when I was younger. I have family members in Tampa, close family, and I went to a Tampa Bay Lightning game. So I've always been if I watch hockey, I always like the Lightning. I don't say I'm some big hockey savant. I'm not, but I might watch the Lightning tonight too. I hope they win because, like I said, if I root for any team, I root for the Lightning. And so that's all I got for today, guys. Like, subscribe, share this video, hit the notification bell. Like I said, love all you guys, and yeah, man, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gone.